to expect for this week crypto market outlook? Should we see more downside, or is this the bottom, or should we consolidate first before we hit lower? So again, the price have reached back to the last lows of where we left off, I think early this year, January, February support at around the 66K, 65K range. But nonetheless, we're going to look at other events, okay, especially coming in from MicroStrategy, which is also founded by Michael Saylor. Okay, so they are selling 32 Bitcoin, okay, which is worth about 2.5 million. Okay, so what they are trying to do is that they're trying to actually fund their dividend payments, okay, which is the STRC as well. Okay, so they went on the 26th May of 26 to 31, which is about 5 days duration. So with an average price of 77.1. Okay. Okay, we'll fund distributions on strategies preferred stock, so which is STRC, right? MicroStrategy or MSTR. Okay, so probably whether Michael Saylor sell or not, I don't think really affects the market, right? Because even if he bought also, how significant is the market pump? Because the whole sentiment is pretty much bearish, right? So whatever MicroStrategy does, whatever Tom Lee does from his fund strat, hedge fund, buying a lot of ETH, it doesn't seem to work out as well. Okay, price still continue to tank. Now with Saylor selling, it actually adds more pressure, isn't it? Okay, to the market. Okay, so 32 Bitcoin between May 26 and 31. Okay, 2.5 million. So is there any more downwards or any more fight lately that is going on? Okay, so this is just one part of it. Okay, for the STRC dividend payment. So again, like I said, don't hear what they say, but watch what they do, right? So because I think Michael Saylor has been mentioning about don't sell your Bitcoin, continue to hodl, and finally they end up selling. So what does that tell you? Okay, all right. So no matter how long you hold, eventually you still need to sell. You still need to realize, okay, to pay off whatever commitment or whatever things that you need to use, right? So again, you have to take note on their actions rather than what they say. Okay, so this is a lesson then. Okay, not to go fully into what people have to say, especially those hedge funds like BlackRock, Tom Lee, and the rest of these people. Okay, so while the news is making a splash across the crypto community, the market has been anticipating a potential sale since Strategy's executive chairman, Michael Saylor, right, first alluded to one during the company's first quarter earnings call this year. Right, they already make it clear that they really want to sell. So probably this could disappoint a lot of Bitcoin maxi as well, right? Because everyone expected that MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor will continue to hodl all the way. They're not going to sell, right? You're going to continue to buy and buy and buy, raise more funds from the public, right? Okay, and then continue to add, but eventually it doesn't happen. Okay, so Saylor dive deeper, right, into several potential sources of capital to meet Strategy's dividend obligation and support the balance sheet in the interview. So you see, selling Bitcoin was one of the options mentioned. Okay, he emphasized that management, okay, evaluates this decision through the lens of Bitcoin per share, prioritizing actions that are accretive to shareholders. Okay, so I think probably the shareholders might pressure as well. That could also play an important part as well behind the scene, probably pressuring Michael Saylor to actually do something about it. Okay, he's showing up dividends, this and that. So yeah, I think not only Michael Saylor have his say, but probably the shareholders also have something to say. Okay, which is affecting the Bitcoin holding as well. All right, so first sale in 4 years. This is the first ever sale that MicroStrategy has to sell during a bear market like this. Okay, so all in all, I think this is just short noise, short term. No, I don't think really that affect the crypto market because the damage has already been done. We are already in a bear market. Okay, the sentiment is already bearish now for the price to push even lower. What's more, will MicroStrategy continue to sell? So it adds more, even more. Okay. Okay, so that's the news here. And then moving on next, right? Talking about the spot ETF. Okay. So spot ETF as well, if you look at the demand, okay, I think a lot of people are actually conservative at the moment, are pulling out. Okay. All right, so you can see spot Bitcoin ETF around 1.42 billion in outflows. People are actually withdrawing. Right. So investor sentiment turns risk off. They are not willing to take the risk anymore. They're actually pulling back and taking off. Okay. All right. So 1.42 B of outflow during the week, right, from May 25th to 29th. Then BlackRock IB led to a sell-off, accounting approximately about 966 million outflow. That's a lot, hell a lot. While Grayscale GBTC saw an additional 175 million withdrawal. So coming in from BlackRock is huge. Okay. All right. So these are also caused the catalysts for the market to also tank or to go down even more. All right. Because people have lost confidence. People can already see what is going to happen. People are more conservative with the current economy. Okay. And what's more with this sentiment right now? Right. Okay. So the outflows come amid rising treasury yields, geopolitical uncertainty, and growing competition for investor capital from high-performing sectors, such as AI and semiconductor stocks. Right? So while Bitcoin ETF remain one of the most successful ETF category, okay, the recent wave of redemptions suggests that investors are becoming increasingly cautious toward this asset. So we can see already that Bitcoin is not really following the S&P 500 index stocks. And you can see the true color of crypto right now. Already in a bear market, and it's most likely following the 4-year cycle. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so this is the reality that most people cannot accept. Perma bulls are still thinking that this is still considered bullish, and this is just a short-term bounce. Then will continue to go up again, but eventually it goes down, down, and down, and goes deeper and deeper until they cannot even discern anymore whether it's a bull or a bear market. And then they have changed the narrative in order to back up their thesis. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, and then moving on, right? Talk about Bitcoin and gold comparison as well. Okay, so we can see as well, if Bitcoin goes down, usually gold will goes up. But unfortunately, this two is still down. I think gold have already hit a peak. Okay, have already hit a peak. And right now, this two, okay, faces steep drop. Okay, as 2026 become BTC most oversold year. Okay, one of the most oversold. Okay, so Bitcoin have its time fair share, even gold as well for this cycle and last year as well. Okay, so Bitcoin went down, broke the 70K support as well. The bear flag also been broken. Okay, all right. And then what else to look at? Considering that Bitcoin has outperformed gold and the S&P 500 every previous crisis, current state of the market appears unusual. So this is something different, something totally the opposite compared to the last few cycles. Okay, all right. So if you look compared to the likes of COVID-19, which is 2020, right? Bitcoin went up about 21%. Okay, while S&P gold went up 2 to 3%. So usually, even the banking crisis and of course the war that is happening, whether it's US, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, usually Bitcoin tend to perform. Okay, after that. But what happened? Will continue to go down and down again. So there you go. 2026 is officially the most oversold year for Bitcoin versus gold ever recorded. All right, so if we look here, this is Bitcoin against gold. So now we have already retested this critical support, right? This is the what 1.81 level here, the orange dotted line here. Okay, retest, trying to reclaim back again, creating a lower high. Yeah, so we're going to see whether can it maintain this level of support. If not, most likely we're going to continue to go down again. Okay, so this data, okay, shows that Bitcoin has never been this cheap in relation to gold. So when Bitcoin got this oversold in the past, it went to make significant gains over there. next year or two. Okay, so all right, so this is a thing. And then the argument goes that Bitcoin has dropped 32% this year, causing historical gap between two assets, where gold has increased by almost 22% in 2 years. Right? So yeah, you can see already what is really happening. Okay. Bitcoin have underperformed, really underperformed, not only on gold, but of course, in terms of the S&P 500 for this year as well, and last year, doesn't seem to be promising, right? Okay, so if you look here, Bitcoin gold ratio also turns negative. Okay, so yeah, we can see the Bitcoin gold ratio chart also showed a steep drop, okay, in 2026, going from over 30 ounce per gold of gold per Bitcoin in 2025 to about 15 to 16 ounce at the moment, right? So yeah, we can see 2021 was a peak. And so here, right, was slightly above 30 ounce, over 30 ounce. And then it went again, 2025, and then finally peak, head and shoulder pattern, finally down. Now it's below 20, right? Somewhere around 15 to 16 ounce per month. Okay, so there you go. Bear market, everything is underperforming, especially for crypto. But nonetheless, I think once this thing is over, towards probably Q4, and then heading to the next year, new year, 2027, I think probably things might pick back up again for the crypto market. Okay, so for now, it's about stacking your stables. Okay, all right, reserve your capital, staying on the defense mode. When it's time to attack, that's where we want to attack, but not now. Then here, another issue again coming in from Mt. Gox. So Mt. Gox actually moved about 730 million Bitcoin. Okay, so every time when Mt. Gox news appear, a lot of FUD lately. Okay, in terms of repayment, in terms of tokens have been locked, has been lost, okay, or hacked. So can these deep buyers, okay, able to push up or to maintain the rally, okay, or to fight against the bears? That's the most important thing. So this is the Collapse Crypto Exchange, right? Also known as Mt. Gox. If you have been in crypto since, I think, what, 2010, okay, the early days of crypto, I think Mt. Gox was the only exchange, okay? So yeah, that's why it's one of the OG exchange, one of the old timers, right? So now they have moved about 10.3K of Bitcoin, totaling about 730 million, okay, into the new wallet, marks this first major Bitcoin transfer in 2 months, okay? So never in before that Mt. Gox have moved, now finally they move, okay? It's a significant token transfer by Mt. Gox as the October deadline to complete creditor refunds nears. So they have yet to even refund, right? They've been saying they're going to refund this and refund that. And then October deadline, which is how many more months, right? 4 more months from now. 4 more months. I'm not sure why Mt. Gox still haven't repaid yet. It's been on and off. Right? Even the last bull run also, they didn't even pay off. So return, okay, so you can see here, 116.3 BTC. Okay. All right. Worth about 8.2 million returned to the Mt. Gox hot wallet. Okay. In the past, such transfers, Mt. Gox have preceded distributions to creditors. Okay. So Mt. Gox's latest token transfer occurred amid a strong market-wide downturn, although neutral itself. Okay, so yeah, so whenever this kind of exchange make a transfer, you know there could be a fight going on. Right. So over the past 3 days, demand for BTC has recovered significantly amid this drop. Okay. 4.45 billion worth of BTC has flown out of exchanges. Right. Okay. So even with the deep buyers, okay, even trying to buy the dip, I think they're going to catch a falling knife with this type of sentiment. Okay, okay, they are catching a falling knife. Okay, so even the institutions were to buy as well, it doesn't really have any major impact at all. Okay, so although deep buyers have returned to the market, okay, Bitcoin structure remains extremely weakened. You see that? Keyword here is what? Extremely weakened. Means bearish sentiment. Okay, Bitcoin momentum index bias indicated that short-term market momentum turned bearish. So this is your answer. So no point, you buy. So you buy, it continues to bleed. You're catching a falling knife. So momentum continues to decline, and sellers currently have the upper hand in the market. So the demand observed over the past 3 days has yet to fully absorb the overall market pressure. Okay, so market continue to tank. Okay, no matter you're going to buy the dip or not, you're going to catch a falling knife. Okay, this is not a time to actually buy the dip. This will actually reserve the cash, stay defensive for now. Okay, don't try to be smart. Okay, because this market, you do not own the market. Okay, it's best to let it consolidate, to have a ranging period, long consolidation period, like a winter period where people have given up, have no interest at all. That's where you really want to enter. Okay, so that's the thing. Then moving on next with more on chain, right? What's happening? So we talk about the bear market. It's by Colin Tops Crypto. Okay, all right. Talk about the bear market perspective. Okay, so in order for 60K to be the cycle bottom, it would mean that BTC had reached about 200,000. Okay, but it only went up all the way to 126K. So what does that mean? 60K might not be the bottom. So a normal drop, including diminishing losses, would give a bear market target of 35 to 40K. Okay, 35 to 40K, but it's not a guarantee. But it's just most likely the realistic outlook that could happen as well. Okay, so it would be foolish to say that the bottom is in at 60K, but when that is mathematically asinine. So if you look at the historical of the bear market drop, comparing from the first ever, which is 2011, which is 93% decline. Why? It's because the asset class is still not matured yet, still an infant stage. So when it goes year by year, right? You can see the decline getting lesser. So from 93 to 85, 84, 77 to 70%. This is just assuming, right? So the last one was 77%. So you can see diminishing losses because the asset is maturing as it goes up and up, and institutional adoption. Okay, so assuming 70%, right? According Tops Crypto. Okay, that will give a bottom of 37.8K. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? 37.8K. So bull top 126K to a 70% drop, that will give you about 37. But if a 200K bull top, that will be about 60K. Okay, or 70% drawdown. So to expect 60K to be the cycle bottom, okay, it would presuppose BTC had reached 200K for the top, but Bitcoin did not. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so a lot of people say that, oh, 60K is the bottom, okay, and you're probably going to, go to the new all-time high. But again, here we are at 65K again. Should we see this level to maintain, or should we see another major support to be broken for this month? I believe most likely this support might break and continue to a new low, probably to touch sub 50. Okay, before then July will create a lower high again, and then by August we will see another drop. Then more news, right? Talking about the bear flag. It's by CryptoCon. Okay, so what's happening here? Look. Okay, so bear flag now has been broken to the downside. So it means time to start looking at lower price that typically come very quickly after that happens. Yeah, so you can see the acceleration towards the downside is pretty much fast. Once the bear flag has been broken, see how fast from the 70K all the way to 66, 65, right? Pretty fast. Okay, so now you're sideways around 67 now. So, but the volume there is relatively thin, much more so than our current price. The next strongest block after that is 26 to 25 to 30K. That is the bottom target of the magic bands in bear band. So where is it here? Next target, 25 to 30K, right? So this is the volume. When we look at this volume, it's very, very thin. Very, very thin. Look here. So there could be a high chance of a break even more once it reaches this critical support from the February, from the Q1 support here. Okay, so I think once it tested, try to break, and once it break to that support, we might want to see this level very, very soon. Okay, So 42K seems very likely as a next middle stop. It will probably take some time. So I expect people will scream that bottom is in, okay, on the next drop that they have for the past two. So again, like I said, a lot of these perma bulls, a lot of this influencer, okay, they have no credibility at all, no accountability. They can say whatever they want. And then when things go south on them, they tend to change the narrative to continue that, oh, okay, they're still in the bull market. Look at this data, look at that data, right? But they don't want to admit that they are wrong. So this is what real data is from CryptoCon, from Talks Crypto. These are the people that are actually adapting to the current market cycle. Rather than shitting you hope and hope, wishful thinking, okay, this time is different, okay, right? So the 4-year cycle is dead. From time to time again, the narrative change. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. And then we are back here again for the 4-year cycle. Okay, so you can argue how much you want, it is still the same. Right, another one, max spin. Right, what do you mention here? Okay, fast, steep, and brutal. Last time Bitcoin was at this stage of the cycle. That's what came next. What happened here? Okay, you see this rejected at this white line? This MA here breaks, right? 67K now. Now retesting on this critical spot. So similar as well. Pull back, retest rejected on the white line. Looks like to break lower again. So the 32K, 30K, 40K looks like it is very, very likely very, very soon. Okay, but it's going to take some time to reach there. So expect June to have a bearish moment. Then by July, creating another lower high. So maybe it might come down here and then create a lower high by July, then following by August, continue again. So that could be a take here for this quarter. Okay, all right. And then we're going to look into more on-chain coming in from Swiss block. So we can see here, all these are real data, right? What they're telling you, they're not shilling you. Okay, quote unquote. These are real data that's happening right now. So this risk index always has the first word. Okay, first comes the warning, then comes the breakdown. Okay, see, as risk begin destabilizing, Bitcoin has fallen almost 15% so far. Okay, so the loss of the cost basis zone was decisive because it allowed sellers to start regaining control. So the key here is simple. Risk destabilization is the warning. Breakdown is the consequences. See here? So the higher the risk it goes up, the more it goes for the breakdown for BTC. Right? So the key here is what? This one, risk destabilization, right? Once it continues to rally, and then what's happened here? The Bitcoin price goes for a breakdown. Breakdown is the consequences. So as long as the risk continues to go up, that's where the breakdown continues to go down. So now I think probably we are really rich here. Maybe it might cool down a little bit. So by the time the price confirms the breakdown, the risk index has often been warning goods for. Right? So this is a thing people don't want to see. Okay, but unfortunately, people only want to hear the good part. Okay, they bury their head under the sand. Okay, you don't want to hear the whole uncomfortable truth that is what's happening right now, which is already in the bear market. Okay, all right. So especially for those new joiners who bought the top or at the peak, you only want to listen to those people who are talking overly bullish buyers perma bull. This is the consequences of the price that you have to pay. Right? Been telling many times. Okay, it's up to you to listen. Okay, and then moving on next with the coin market cap. So you can see here, coin market cap, the price, okay, currently is at 2.3 trillion. Okay, so basically at 66.6 and it's heading down again, 1.8K for ETH, XRP 122, Solana 74, it's going to go down again, hyperliquid maintaining still some 70K, $70 range. So you have to really break further down. Zcash 621, look at the 24-hour period. Look at Lighter as well. Lighter, all these DEX, all these perpetual DEX are actually running. Okay, 35%. Then we look at Ethena, 34%, WorldCoin, 51%. I think these are the AI narrative. So you can also target all those AI narrative for the next cycle as well if you're planning to accumulate, right? Although real asset 15%. So all these are rallying up, but again, if you look at it, how significant is this pullback? It's just a lower high, breaking a lower high and then continuation towards the downside. Okay, so this is the thing. Then we move on next with the technical side. So technical side, you can see here, for dominance is going down. Okay, so dominance is heading down, break below the middle band. So the next target we're going to see is soon. The lower band here, 25.9. Look at weekly. So the weekly now, the U-turn, now the critical support will be here, 58.34. Let me look at daily. So daily now we can see momentum sell. Okay, then look at H4. Okay, momentum pullback entry and it's looking set to hit lower. So overall the dominance is down. Look at EVE against Bitcoin. So what is EVE against Bitcoin doing? So we look here, price descending, looking lower. So short-term probably support will be here, 0.02575. Then it needs to break past the middle band, right, to confirm its trend change of direction from south to north. So we look at the weekly time frame. So weekly again rejected at the entry south. There's still a sell setup here. Okay, get daily now. Okay, we can see descending. And then what happened is that we already broken this middle band confirmation. Then we have a reversal candle and test candle. So now it needs to maintain at 0.02754. If it continues to break lower, we're going to see all these levels here at the lower will be at 0.02699. Look at H4. For H4, we can see again higher highs, higher lows, lower high, okay, compared to previous high. So it's looking set to break down again. Okay, so this level here, middle band, okay, length continuation here, okay, 0.02761. Okay, so these are levels to watch for what we produce with. Look at USDT dominance is looking set to break higher again. I think we'll continue to break higher. Okay, so your support, right, is here. The final boss resistance will be here, 8.774. Okay, and the current resistance is here, 8.07. So let's see, for money, I think looking set to break this, break higher, and then continue to retest this final boss resistance, and then we'll see a new all-time high for the USDT dominance for this cycle. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are conservative right now. They're probably gonna hold in the stables. Look at daily now. Okay. Momentum. So next over here to watch 8.65. Look at H4, higher highs, higher lows again. Okay. So yeah, I think overall this setup is actually trending because I think the price is down. Now let's look at the BTC now. More important now, we can see what's happening. Look at the monthly time frame. Okay, momentum, candlestick change of direction from buy to sell, back to pre-sell. So I've been telling you guys that, you know, whenever we test this or touch this level, right? This is the make it or break it for the bulls and bears, which I also said is the complacency bounce. That's where the Puma bulls will say, you know, you want to consolidate here and then continue to go up. So now we're already back down here. Now the big question is, can it able to maintain this current major support from Q1, which is a February support? Because by the look of it, looking set to, you know, retest a bit more. And then continuation again in the lower band, which is 60.5. Very, very soon. Then maybe you might get some bounce here before we hit over the group. Let me look at weekly. What is weekly doing? Okay. So we are already here, right? Break double W pattern, double bottom, but invalidated. Now we back down again here on this critical support at 65.6. So you got a lot of support today, 65.6, then you got your 60K level, 60.5. And then, of course, we look into others as well. This will be the level here, 54.7. I think probably we might go into range around this level here for this quarter. So I think we are already what? Going to Q3, right? Well, Q3, heading to Q3. So Q3 probably might want to range, and then by Q4 probably we might see, you know, another one final dip, or maybe you might get the one last drop before it really bottoms. Now look at daily now. Okay, so we look at daily. We look at daily momentum sell, right? So now it's having a reversal candle. Okay, a bounce. So a bounce makes sense, right? Nothing goes up straight. So we're going to see this bounce. They probably might want to test back on this level here. At least 70.7. Okay, 70.7. And we look on here. H4, momentum sell, retreat sell. Reversal test, a lot of red candles coming up now. So probably maybe might range here. Then continuation, probably lower high at 70. So 70 PA range most likely might give you the edge to actually, maybe you might want to sell, or probably if you miss the entry here, you might want to de-risk, right? If you haven't de-risk, so yeah, you gotta consider. Then look at ETH, 1855 now, getting down again. More. Look at that. You got your critical support now, just hanging by a thread here, 1776. And then all these levels, you're gonna pay attention. This level here, 1182. Look at weekly. Okay, break, momentum sell, ascending. You see how many candles rejected at this middle band? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five weekly candles rejected, break down. And then we're going to look into this level here, this spot zone at 1569. Hey, look at daily now. So daily we can see momentum sell. So any momentum, there's always a pullback. So this pullback probably won't be you. Okay, now we're here. So probably short term around this level here, 1932, or probably this level at 193. That probably max. Okay, we're going to continue to go up. Okay, short term. Because other than that, it is already bearish. Look at H4 now. Momentum sell, retreat sell, breaking down again, continuation. Continuation to go down. So it is already bearish. So we're going to see here. Okay, you can look at other tokens as well. It's been doing. Look at Lighter. LIT. Right? These are the perpetual DEX. Lighter here. Okay. For Lighter, you can see setup already rebounded. Since January. How much here? 72. It's about 50 cents. Right? 53 cents. So roughly about 2-3x here. Okay. Okay, so this will be the next resistance, 1.71. Look at weekly now. So weekly, you can see what's happening now. W pattern form, break. So this is the final boss resistance. After that, it's going to be a blue sky hit, like hyperliquid. So let's see, because there are others as well here. 197, then leading up by this level here. Of course, here as well, 2.66. Then this level here, 3.4. Then we look at daily. High highs, high lows, high highs again. So overall, the trend is actually bullish now for this perpetual DEX. But how much can it continue to rally? That's the only thing. That's the only concern, right? So you don't want to be really catching this pop and this rally again. So we already learned our lesson from the last cycle. Never ever chase when something that's really pop. Okay, right? So there are other opportunities that we can go to look for, but not just right now. Okay, so it's all about stacking your cash reserve. Okay, play defense for this quarter, and then by end of this year, you're going to go in offense, which is attacking. Right, so that is lighter for you, right? And then we're going to go for Zcash, ZEC. So Zcash. Okay, so this is the final resistance. Then in spot, nice rally was the upside. So it still continue to go up. This is the thing. Right? So this was the last support at 245. When we look at weekly now. So weekly again, we have a lot of reversal test candle is forming. And final boss resistance is here. 699 or $700. Okay, the next support will be here at 530. Okay, what you can see on daily now. So daily time frame, you can see Okay. Right. So daily time frame, you can see this setup here, a W pattern, double bottom. Okay, double bottom here. All right. Okay, double bottom. Okay, and then we look at this level here, 672 is the final boss resistance. And look at H4 now. So H4, you can see higher highs, higher lows, higher highs again. Reversal retest candle is formed. So overall, you can see the setup is still sideways. Okay. Okay. There could be a sell signal that's happening right now for Zcash. Okay. All right. Then this is the entry sell now for Zcash. All right. Okay. So yeah, already at the top as well. So going to be very, very cautious in terms of buying as well. Okay. Then what else? Thinking about Ondo. So Ondo, we can see spot zone is here, in 6 cents. And then your next resistance here, 75, 26. We look at weekly time frame, you can see down consolidating pump, reversal retest candle is formed. Next, you're going to see here is this level here at 50 cents. And then we look at daily. Most likely it's creating a W pattern, double bottom. Okay. And then we look at here, this level here. Okay. Double bottom, W pattern form. Okay. And then next level of resistance is here, 33. Okay. And then this level here at 45. Okay. So H4 also we can see. Okay. Trend is up for now for Undo. Okay. But again, I think looking at this is already at a peak, so we're going to be very, very cautious to buy. So it's done for Undo. Then we have, okay, let's look at ICP. So ICP completed. Now I'm going to look here for money time frame. So it's already at an extreme low. Right. So price rejected at the re-entry sell again here. And then this will be a middle band here as well. 4.9. Look at the weekly time frame. So the weekly time frame you can see. Okay, maybe squeeze rejected at the sell. Okay, and then on daily time frame, okay, you can also see. Okay, reversal retest candle is formed. Okay, and then probably the next level one, we're going to look at here. Okay. 3.19. Look at H4 for ICP. Higher highs, high lows, high highs, but a lot of wicks here is forming. So market is exhausted to continue higher again. So that could be a sign, probably, maybe. Okay, there could be another downwards again for ICP. Okay, so that's the thing. But all in all, it's already down like what, 90%. Okay, it's already down 90%. So what's the point of buying or catching this trend? Right? Last one. BBB, Venice. Right? So what's happening here with Venice? All-time high. Look at weekly. Trending higher again. So all these are the AI narrative that we can able to look for the next cycle, or this coming new cycle, right? The new market. All right. But again, you want to accumulate like this? I don't think so. Right. And then your middle band here, 2.85. So eventually what goes up will come down. So we're not going to be buying, okay, at these extreme levels, right? So got here 19.1, 17.2, and 14.9, okay, for triple B. So all in all, it's really uptrend. So I'm going to see this level as support to maintain at 20.9. Okay, so this is my take here, but again, I already extended like this. So once this thing is over, right, the stock market crash, the AI bubble is popped. Okay, the S&P 500, right, we are seeing right now. So finally, we have one reversal candle. Maybe we should see more coming in. Again, hopefully this could be the final peak, or rather, I'm not sure how long is it going to continue to go. But eventually, by time, it most likely